Robert Craig, just an old man reading from his Bible. I'm the old man. This here's the Bible. I don't know if you can make that out or not. I believe it says along the spine and on the cover, King James Version. Before we leave Joshua, I want to go back to something Moses said at the closing of the book of Deuteronomy, commonly called the second law. This was Moses' farewell address. And we've been looking at that timeline going down to the bloodline of the Redeemer. Let's look at, this is something we all should be very familiar with this verse, and it shows how that as God deals with mankind, things change, and it's an expanding, I guess you'd call it a field of knowledge that, it's commonly called progressive revelation. You see, Jehovah God didn't just dump the whole load on mankind. He's given him bits and pieces along the way. Deuteronomy 29:29 kind of addresses this. It says, "The secret things belong unto the Lord our God, colon." Now, that lets us know something. There's things that God knows that we don't know. At every point along the timeline, there's always things that God knows that we don't know, that mankind doesn't know. But, continuing on, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Now, at the time Moses said this, he's speaking to the people of Israel, and he's revealing the purpose of the things that are revealed. It is intended to enable them to be a different kind of people than those of the rest of the world, and to live by the law. And I want to go into the next chapter of Deuteronomy, and he's talking about the let's just look at verse 1. "And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, according to their works, see, which I've set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee." He's talking about a future time when they'll be, if they're disobedient to a certain point, they'll be scattered among the nations. That's the context here. Verse 2, "And shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey" what? "His voice." I can't emphasize that enough. That was always the condition. I don't have that highlighted. Obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then, now that's if they fulfill that condition of turning back to the Lord, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity. Now, we'll come across in the time of Judges a phrase called leading thy captivity. That's a totally different thing. Turning captivity is freeing the captives. Leading captivity captive, well, that's a victory parade for the winner of a contest or a battle or a war. "Then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outermost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. It's my understanding that this really hasn't happened yet, because there are Jews all over the world today that still haven't returned. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. See, they've got that little, almost a postage stamp size nation now, and even that's highly contested, but they have yet to possess all that land from the Great Sea, the Mediterranean, all the way over to the Euphrates. That has yet to happen. And it's going to take a lot of land to house all of Israel when it finally is gathered. Verse 6, and the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart. See, they've gone by a circumcision in the flesh, but the circumcision that he's really looking for is that of the inward parts of the Spirit. The Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart. It'll be a work he does, not something they do. And the heart of thy seed to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. There's a purpose behind it. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Now here once again, this is what they have to do. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. I have been harping about the voice of the Lord for over 10 years now, and for whatever reason, I'm not getting any traction on that, but I cannot but just keep on. And the Lord thy God will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land for good. For the Lord will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. Verse 10, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul. I remember in Exodus 19 and 20, the voice was emphasized either implicitly or explicitly. Verse 11, for this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. Now see if this doesn't sound familiar, this thing that he's saying to the people of Israel. Verse 12, it is not in heaven that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven to bring it down unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. Does that sound familiar at all to you? You maybe remember the Apostle Paul in the book of Romans citing this Old Testament passage. Verse 15, see, I have set before thee this day life and good and death and evil, in that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. Now, this is being addressed to a group of people who are soon to go into the promised land. Their 40 years of wandering is over. But if thine heart turn away so that thou wilt not hear. Now I'm making a case here for free will. I have some good friends, some of whom are people of faith, and they think the free will of man is illusion. Well, if it were, this would be a very cruel thing to say. I denounce unto you this day that you shall. Now this goes along with if thine heart turn away so that thou wilt not hear, and shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them. I denounce unto you this day. In other words, I'm giving you the bad news of what will happen if you do that. That ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whither thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life. Does that sound like free will, maybe? Both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice. There it is again. And that thou mayest cleave unto him, for he is thy life and the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers. That lets you know who he's talking to here. The people of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Now, I just wanted to do that little recap on the ministry of Moses at the end of his life, because I want to make the case. I've seen so many people, scientists, astronomers, physicists, and even people of faith, make the case that free will of man is just an illusion, that God has orchestrated this whole thing from Act 1, Scene 1 to the final curtain. And, well, I think the Word makes a case against that. What do you think? Feel free to comment. Sooner or later, this will appear in Facebook. If I'm around long enough, I'm kind of ahead of myself a little bit, but I plan to put this on Facebook. If you want to comment on that issue of the free will of man, it probably would be more effective if you do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. I leave my comments open, and if you have kickback for me or arguments, you can use the comments there on YouTube. It's just that I don't get notifications from YouTube like I do on Facebook. You might make a comment on my my YouTube, on the video on the YouTube channel, but I might miss it. If I do see it, it's probably by merest chance, especially as time goes on. So if you're getting anything out of these videos at all, and if you like what you hear or you agree with me, feel free to subscribe and be sure to click on that bell to get notifications. And feel free to like and share it on your own page, whatever. And if you like it, you can give me a thumbs up. They tell me that giving people thumbs down is kind of rude. But that's your choice. At any rate, for now, I'll just say, may the Lord bless this reading of his Holy Scripture. And we will continue on in the period of the judges and those people that are in the timeline of the bloodline going down to the Redeemer. I hope to see you then.